Hey there, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I am Jennie Hendricks, and we are going to do a two-part series. I think that we need to have a really good conversation about what is going on in our market right now, because there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of scary things, a lot of weird news going on out there. So today I want to talk to my seller folks, okay? You and me, we're going to have a conversation about what you really need to know, and then next week we're going to be talking with the buyers. So today, sellers, stick with me. I've got some great information for you. Welcome back. I am Jennie Hendricks. I am really glad you're here. Okay, so there's a lot going on in our market. There's a lot going on nationally. There's a lot going on globally. So we're going to kind of unpack some of this. What I want to start with first is sort of what we're seeing in the national media. So there's a lot of clickbait out there. There's a lot of headlines that are designed to be frightening because it makes people read the article and then they sell advertising. So I want to really cut through some of what is going on and really focus on what is happening in our local market. Let's start with just some of the headlines that I did, like a 10-second Google search. So sellers liquidating houses, 30 housing markets saw falling home prices. The housing market is likely in trouble. Yeah, like I say, this is like with a 10-second Google search. And if you click on these articles and actually read them, the information in the article actually contradicts what the headline says. So, what is the most important rule about real estate? You know this: location, 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 right? So let's talk about what is going on in our market, in our location, in October 2022. My caveat, of course, is that we all know the real estate market is in a state of transition. The information I'm giving you right now is accurate today. My team and I are going to keep you updated. And as the market changes and as there's additional information that you need to have, we are going to bring that to you. So the real estate market is really driven by a couple of things: buyer demand, which right now is being really affected by interest rates, of course, and inventory levels. Okay, first of all, let's talk about inventory levels, because I think that's something that gets missed a lot in the very loud conversations that are happening around interest rates. So we currently have 3.3 months of housing inventory. What does that mean? Who cares? It's one metric that we use to sort of gauge the health of the housing market, okay? So we have right now about 250 active residential listings. The absorption rate, or the number of properties sold in a month, is about 75. So that math tells us we have about 3.3 months worth of inventory. This is the level of inventory we had in July 2020, okay, pre-pandemic. And it was low then. In January of 2020, I remember having conversations with people going, I don't know what we're going to do. This inventory is really low. We've got to get more inventory. And then, of course, it went even lower. So we're back to pre-pandemic inventory levels, but it's still really low. During 2021, 2022, we actually got down to less than a month's worth of inventory, which was fueled by the frenzy of buyer activity, a generally accepted, good, normal, healthy level of inventory is really about 5 or 6 months. So we're still way off from where we could be to be in a healthy market. We haven't been there in a really long time. And frankly, with the amount of demand we're still seeing and the level of new construction, I don't know when we're going to get there. My point, my fabulous sellers, is that if you only listen to the headlines, you think the sky is falling. You think we need to hunker down. That is not happening in our market. So let me give you the facts of what is going on in our market. Right now, there's about 10 to 12% of our active residential listings that are seeing a price reduction every week or so. This is okay. This is fine. This is folks sort of testing the market, finding out where they want to be as far as market placement, maybe finding out they need to adjust their market position to achieve their timeline, okay? A 10 or 11% inventory price reduction weekly is Not a problem. It's absolutely fine. Things are still fine. And I also want to give my seller folks some good intel that's happened over the last few years. So hang with me. I'm going to tell you a story, which I can do because I've been around for a very long time in this market and I'm just an old broker and that's what I like to do. So there is a subdivision here in this area called Gemini Meadows. This is one of many subdivisions that was started in, about 2005-ish and got in trouble sort of 2007 to 2009-ish. There was a number of subdivisions that were in this same sort of situation. So Gemini Meadows is a subdivision primarily of twin homes, and it's always been sort of a starter home or investor type subdivision. That's mostly who is buying in this particular subdivision. So in 2006, these twin homes came on the market at $194,000. These are about 1,600 square feet, 3 beds, 2.5 baths. They're super cute. They hit the market at $194,000, and we had never seen such a thing. That price was just so shockingly high. So because I'm a nerd and because I like you guys, I went and did some research, and I actually found one address in Gemini Meadows that demonstrates what our market has been doing for that last number of years. There's one address in Gemini Meadows. It's on Gemini Meadows Lane that on December 12th of 2007, it came on the market. It was listed at $194,000. That property did not sell until October 28th of 2008. And you'll never guess what it sold for. You won't guess. I'm just going to tell you. It sold for $144,000. Okay, in October of 2008. Now, fast forward, this same property was sold November 14th of 2017 for $167,500. Just recently on November of 2021, just last year, it sold for $285,000. You can see what happens over the long term to real estate in our market. It has gone up, except for just a couple of blips, but long term it is going up. Now I'm going to tell you another little quick example. The same dynamic happened to our sort of mid-range and upper end price ranges as well. In Mesa Hills, there's a specific address that sold in November of 2012 for $176,000. So in 2012, $176,000 was our sort of mid to high mid range price point. Well, just last year in December of 2021, that same address, that same property sold for $500,000. So you see where I'm going with this. I'm telling you these stories to create some perspective about our local market. Now, if you watch my social media, you know I give a market update every single week, so everybody knows what's going on in the market. On January 20th of 2020, that was right before like the world stopped spinning and, you know, with the pandemic and all of that kind of stuff, I reported to you that the median sales price in our area was $232,000. As of this week in October of 2022, our median sales price is $390,000. If you have purchased a home in the last several years, you have potentially gained up to 40% in equity. That is something that is significant. So my friends, when you see these deliberately frightening headlines, you can feel secure knowing that your equity position is likely good enough to weather any storm that we may find ourselves in. Now, let's talk about what sort of everybody is talking about right now. Buyer demand and interest rates. I think that we have all experienced some shock at the rate at which mortgage interest rates have gone up this year. The Fed just kept raising and raising and raising those short-term bank rates, which isn't directly tied to mortgage interest rates, but of course it has an impact on the economy at large. Mortgage interest rates are more closely tied to the bond rate. So with all of those sort of machinations going on, we found ourselves in a situation where the interest rates that had been so low for so long just kept going up and up and up so very quickly. And it was really a shock to the system. It was sort of a shock to the industry. And it has made a situation where some buyers are now unable to qualify. that has happened. It is also a situation where some buyers are just nervous. So that we do have some buyers that even if they can qualify at higher mortgage rates, they're just nervous to do so. So I'm going to talk to my buyers next week. So stay tuned for that one because I've got some really good information for you. There's some good opportunities. But I want you to think about this. Homes are not like other investments. Now, if you are an investor, if you're purchasing real property to rent out, short-term rental, to land to buy and hold, that's a little bit different than what I'm talking about right now. There's some tremendous opportunity, but what I'm talking about is my sellers who have purchased a home for shelter as a place to live. Homes most of the time are primarily shelter, and demographics tells us that there are more folks who want a home than we have available homes to put them in. So are interest rates affecting the market? Of course they are. Of course they are. Is it causing the market to cease to support buyers and sellers and come to a screeching halt? No, of course not. It's not. I'd like to point out here too that while we're telling stories, interest rates in 2006 were in the mid 6% range, and in 2008 they were in the low 6 to kind of high 5% range. Just some fun facts for you there. Now, the last thing I want to make you aware of is that Cedar City has just been named in the top 10 of the nation's most dynamic micropolitan cities, which are places that have under 50,000 people, for tremendous growth. That is a big deal. Cedar City experienced a 27.2% employment growth between 2015 and 2020, and a 31.6% increase in average annual pay over the same period. That, again, is a big deal. Additionally, Cedar City's gross domestic product grew by 35.8%. I tell you all of these statistics to hopefully temper the very depressing national news that gets thrown at us every single day over and over and over again. Our local economy remains strong. Our local housing market remains relatively stable, and Cedar City and the surrounding areas continue to be a place where folks want to live. I feel really lucky to call this place home, and I know so many of you do too. Please let me know if you have any questions about our market, about your own property, about a property that you're interested in, anything to do with the local market, with local real estate. We really want to be a resource for you, and we want to make sure that you have accurate information when you're making a decision about what can be, for a lot of people, the most important financial and emotional transaction of their lives. We want to be able to help you with that. We want to make sure that you have the facts when you are making these decisions. So thank you so much for joining me again. Tune back in next week because I'm going to have a great conversation with buyers. I am Jennie Hendricks. Have a great one. We'll see you soon.